Good morning and welcome to Pod Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Shane Matthews here. JC John Cornell will be joining me shortly. We're coming to you, as I said, from the Crime Prevention System Studios on a Friday. Happy Valentine's to everyone out there. Hope you have a great day, great night, good weekend. It's a big weekend on campus. First of all, our guest that's going to join us today at around 8:30 will be Chris Harry from FloridaGators.com, senior writer, who is covering this basketball team. But he wrote an article that you have to read. It is outstanding. It's called AOK and OKC. It's all about Billy Donovan, and obviously tomorrow night in the O'Connell Center against Vanderbilt at 8 p.m. I believe the ceremony is going to be at halftime. They're going to name the court after Billy Donovan. His signature will be put right there, I believe, right underneath the Gator head at center court. So what a tremendous honor for him, well-deserved. So you're going to have Steve Spurrier Field, Billy Donovan Court right next to one another. Pretty cool. Also on campus this weekend, Florida Gators baseball cranks up the season. Marshall Thundering Herd are in for a 3-game set. Game tonight, first pitch is at 6:30. Again, this is the last first pitch ever in McKeithen Stadium. This is the final season of the ballpark. Also on campus, the Bubbly Invitational. Florida softball hosting North Dakota State, Longwood, Southeastern Louisiana, and FAMU. Florida plays today at 4:30 against North Dakota State, the Bison. So anyway, we'll take your text on the Titan MRI text line at 352-353-7465. As I mentioned, a big weekend in sports. We have NASCAR going on in Daytona.
Yeah. I almost took Tiger.
Well, he's not leading the tournament.
But he's under par, right?
Well, yeah, but pretty much everybody is.
Well, listen. I mean, you might get lucky.
It's not a major, so everybody's going to be under par. They are professionals.
Point. Yeah, no, it's a good point. I'm not a big fan of the tournaments that go into the high teens or even 20 under par, like the old Bing Crosby. But
Bing Crosby. That's where they played on like 4 different courses, and they'd shoot like 32 under par. I'm like,
well, everything is flat. There's no rough, and the holes are short. So it was. It's more like a social event more than anything.
We got a text. I believe it was yesterday or maybe the day before, and somehow I missed it on the Titan MRI text line.
Yeah.
Your informants have no clue.
Well, they're not my informants. I told them that they were wrong. I said, well, I have better information than you have. Oh, how is that? I said, because I'm on with Pod Up with Matthews in the morning. That's how I know.
You dang right.
But I would rather go with this guy than some man on the street, right?
Yeah, I believe I have. He's one of my closest friends. So let's just leave it at that.
All right. So how about that, folks? Do you feel better now?
I just want to. I'm not curious.
Well,
I'm curious who sent that.
Yeah, well, listen.
I didn't give a name.
Well, yeah. I think I know, but it doesn't really matter. The bottom line is that we talked to the man. It sounded pretty positive, and if you say he's going, I have absolutely.
I talk to him every
day. So I have absolutely no reason to believe that you wouldn't know what the fellow's plans are. Mm-hmm. I mean, right? So
right.
Anyway, I'm just excited to be here. It's Friday. We're heading into the weekend, charging in. We've had a really good week, QB. We've had some great guests. Jeff Cardozo, Big Red, came in to fill in the other day to talk Gator baseball. We've had certainly Brent Beard. We've had not Kirk Kirkpatrick, but we've had one of the Brad Wilkerson. We've had a lot of really super guests this week, and today it's Chris Harry Day, right?
Chris Harry's going to
basketball.
Well, I meant to tell you last night. He spent a few days out in Oklahoma City during the Super Bowl week. Watched the Super Bowl with Billy. Wrote a tremendous piece that's on FloridaGators.com. I read it last night, and we'll talk about it. Yeah, it's called AOK and OKC. If you haven't read it, go to FloridaGators.com or check Chris out on Twitter at GatorsChris. It's a really good piece. You know, he's been around Gator basketball ever since he left the Orlando Sentinel or the Tampa Tribune, wherever, and the Gators hired him. He's been the basketball guy.
He decided to be the captive guy for the beat guy for a sport. Works for the university and gives you as much information as he can, certainly. sometimes you tend to maybe lose some objectivity, of course, if you're employed by an institution. But at the same time, I've always known Chris to be a very straight shooter and somebody who will tell it like it is, and irrespective of who he works for, he will give you the information you need, certainly to have, so that you can have an intelligent discussion over it. But I think Florida basketball is in pretty good shape. I think Florida basketball it's a season of ups and downs, and I'm going to kind of I want to get into the state of college basketball as we know it. And this year alone, QB, 16 top 5 teams have lost to unranked teams, and last year only 6 top 5 teams lost to unranked teams. And I thought about this when I saw what happened to Louisville the other night against the 9th place team in the conference at Georgia Tech. And it made me wonder, why didn't Louisville show up? Why didn't they play? And sometimes with the year we're having, it's just the way it seems to work. If you don't bring your A game to the court, and you could always say that. But I think one of the mitigating factors in college basketball that's different than anything else is the three-point line. Sometimes the three-point line can really determine a game. It can bring a good team down to the level of the competition they're playing. If they miss, it can bring a average or bad team actually up to the level of a very good team if they are hitting threes. Purdue has beaten three ranked teams this year by 29 points or more, and they beat Iowa by 38, and they just killed it from the three-point line, Purdue. So that, I think, is a big factor in basketball. And Indiana last night with Green, they blew out Iowa was it last night? Yeah. Green hits 4 3-point shots in a row, and it turns a close game into a rout.
But three-point shooting across the country is way down percentage-wise because they moved the line back.
Well, no, I see that. But I think it is an equalizer in a lot of ways for poor teams to stay in it with other teams if they can hit their threes. I think Alabama's a great example of that. They stay close at Auburn and at Kentucky and almost beat Florida on the road because they can hit the three. But when they're missing, they can lose to anybody. So the three-point line is very important in college basketball. I think it's one of the reasons why we see sometimes these big upsets. But like I said, 16 top 5 teams have lost to unranked teams in the league this year. And when you mention the ACC, QB, you talk about, okay, there's 3 dogs in that in the ACC. You got FSU, you got Duke, and you got Louisville, and then there's everybody else. And that's hard for the rest of the teams in the ACC because they know that in order to get their strength of schedule or in order to get their resume really, viewed by the NCAA selection committee, they've got to beat one of those 3 teams at least once, right? They know that because the rest of the league is down or perceived to be down. And if they don't do that, then they're not going to qualify. Whereas in the Big Ten, you've probably got 9 teams in that league that could qualify for the big dance. And the league is balanced, and it's pretty competitive, and it's pretty good. And in the Big Ten, your strength of schedule, like Indiana's was 360 going into the conference play. Now it's moved up to 60 because of the teams they're playing in conference. And so if they lose to an Iowa or to a Penn State, it doesn't kill their resume necessarily like say, a Syracuse losing to Pitt would kill their resume in the ACC. And in the Big Ten, you've got teams that can beat each other and really balance out your strength of schedule and give you that resume that gets you in, because there's probably going to be 9 teams in the league, 8 or 9 teams in the league that make the NCAA tournament. So it makes it easier for the resume builder in the Big Ten. And Indiana beating Iowa last night's a good win. But if they had lost, I don't think that would have killed them. They are on the bubble, according to Joe Lunardi, but I don't think that would have killed them if they had lost.
No, I mean, the Big Ten is by far the best league this year in the country. As you mentioned, ACC is down. Your defending national champs is on the bubble, trying to find a way to get in.
The traditional teams are not good this year. Notre Dame, Syracuse, Pitt, the traditionally strong teams.
Pitt's traditionally strong?
Well, I don't know. I think they've been in the tournament a couple of times. Maybe not Pitt. Maybe that's a bad example, but Syracuse, right?
Yeah.
Notre Dame. You've got Virginia, the defending national champions, kind of on the bubble right now. So NC State is typically a qualifying type of team. Wake Forest is typically a qualifying team. These teams are probably on the outside looking in.
They
so
are.
these traditional teams in that league, North Carolina is the biggest example of that, right? So this,
I mean, it's going to be funny. The SEC is going to get more teams in than the ACC.
I think that just shows you how basketball has gone this year. That's the state of college basketball in 2020. And I don't know. I mean, like I said, Indiana's a team that had just a miserable non-conference schedule before in the early part of the season. Their strength of schedule now has gone up dramatically because of the teams in their league that they're playing and have a chance to beat, which helps their resume. And last night was a perfect example of that when they blow out Iowa. Same with Purdue. They blow out Iowa. It looks good. But then Iowa comes around and blows out Michigan. You've got in the Big Ten, tell me this, Michigan Wolverines are 11th in the Big Ten right now, and they are 9th, according to Joe Lunardi, as a 9 seed in the NCAA tournament. How are you 11th in the league, but you're 9th in the NCAA tournament, according to a guy who does this
It's
for
a
a
very
living?
deep league.
It's a very deep league.
I mean, the preseason number one team in the country was Michigan State.
Yeah,
They've
right.
lost 9 times.
But they'll be in the
They're
tournament.
not even ranked.
I know, but there's a good chance they're going to make the tournament.
Right.
Michigan's another example. There's a good chance they're going to probably make the tournament. They're the 11th team in the league. Now, maybe they won't. Maybe they're a bubble team. Indiana, I think, is a bubble team, but they've got a chance at least being on the bubble, whereas North Carolina essentially has to win the ACC tournament to get in because they don't have the resume.
Yep, this is Pod Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. John Cornell, Shane Matthews at 8:30 when we joined by FloridaGators.com senior writer Chris Harry. Again, big weekend on campus. You got baseball starting tonight,
Yeah.
and it's going to be a big ceremony at halftime with Billy Donovan.
Florida better bring it. Florida better play hard. They better play well.
You better win on Billy Donovan court naming night.
And you better beat a team that's got one win in the league.
The great thing.
But you're right.
I heard
You're
some of my
absolutely right.
sources, JC, that are pretty legit. My sources are legit.
Sources. I have no doubt.
There's like over 150 former players of his that are going to be here.
That's wonderful. I mean, that's wonderful. You're going to see.
Well, it may be players
Do
and
we
their
have
families.
is
and
the
things of that
NBA on
nature.
a break or something?
It's All-Star
It's
break.
All-Star. So obviously,
The Thunder won last night. They beat the Pelicans in New Orleans. Billy will be here today. They're doing a private ceremony tonight, I think, in the O'Connell Center with just friends and family and probably UAA folks. And then the big shindig tomorrow night at halftime.
Awesome. What else is awesome is you can follow us on Twitter at Matthews in the Morning. You can also check us out on podupwithshane.com online. You've got us on Spotify, Apple iTunes, YouTube, and Facebook Live. We have a comment here from Larry. Good old Larry B., one of my old radio listeners, that says, live and listening, loving the show that got me started back in the day when I first moved from New Jersey to Gainesville. Kill it, guys. Great to have you with us, Larry. We love listeners and viewers like you.
Isn't Larry your hockey buddy?
Well, Larry will speak hockey. He will talk hockey for some reason, and I can't explain it, but he likes the Montreal Canadiens, which is appalling, but he's a New York Giants fan. He should be a New Jersey Devils fan or a New York Rangers fan, but it's an long story. You don't want to hear it.
Don't.
Gene says the men's Gator golf team has their only home match this weekend. That, of course, would be
Gator Invitational?
the Gator Invitational.
Isn't it crazy they only have one home match?
That place could probably only handle one home match a year because there's no facility there. You got no parking, you got no restaurant, you got no bar, you got a great golf course. And it is your favorite
phenomenal.
golf course in town.
It's by far, nothing compares to it.
It's very good. It's hard to play, and this is what college teams should play into. And it's not a guarantee that the Florida golf teams, men or women, will win this Gator Invitational event. A lot of times schools like Augusta State or Vanderbilt or somebody like that will come in here and win on Florida's home course. But the course is the great equalizer because of how hard it is, and anybody can shoot 80 there. And if you shoot in the low 70s or in the high 60s, you have a great chance to win. Which is in many cases not the case. So that's a good setup. I think Scott Hampton has done a great job at the University of Florida golf course. The course itself is tremendous. The facility is, leaves much to be desired, but that's just the way it is. But I like that tournament. Thank you for bringing that up, Gene. That's a fun thing to go out and watch. Have you ever been out there to watch it?
A few times.
You have?
Yeah.
What was it when Buddy Alexander was coaching?
It's been a while. I prefer to watch golf on TV.
Well, you prefer to watch everything on TV.
Not true. I mean, I went to softball the other night, the USA
That's true.
game.
You are a softball.
But my
fan.
point is,
Yeah.
you can't see what all is going on the golf course.
Yeah.
If you're on
that's
one
true.
hole, you just see what happens on
Well,
that
that's
hole.
the thing about Augusta, right? I mean, you have to go once to
Oh,
say
yeah,
you've been
yeah,
there.
yeah, you have to do
But
that.
when it's week, so that's why the practice rounds are so much better, right? You can see the players, you get close to.
Yeah,
them.
I don't like practice rounds because
There's nothing, yeah,
they're
but
not-
it's
nothing's on the
just
line.
the point of going there
I
and
know.
seeing the
It's a
place.
beautiful
But
place. Beautiful,
you would rather
beautiful.
watch it on Sunday on TV.
I'd rather watch it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and
Sunday
Sunday
on TV.
We got a text here from on the Titan MRI text line. It says, "Good morning, guys. Let's hope the Gators get the victory over Vanderbilt. JC, I know you are not a NASCAR fan, but you need to experience the Daytona 500 one time. It's NASCAR's Super Bowl. Go 9 car. Chase Elliott.
Yeah,
that is a good car, the 9 car.
Well, everything that wears 9 is good, QB, right?
Absolutely.
But I've changed my tune on that. The other day I said I'd rather push Mo Payne's Prairie than go to a NASCAR event, but the Daytona 500 is an American event.
It's funny how it's the Super Bowl and it's like
it's
the first race.
They do call it that. I also remember in the days of my Alabama residency that Talladega 500 was a big deal.
They don't have that anymore, do they?
They don't?
I'm asking. I don't hear about the Talladega 500.
Well, it's middle of the season, and if you don't follow NASCAR religiously week by week, you might not know that, but I'm pretty sure they have the Talladega 500. That's the fastest track on tour along with Daytona. I think those are the two.
Do you know what the shortest track is?
I would say it's it's not the Pocono Speedway. Is it Watkins Glen?
I have no idea. I was just asking. I want to say, isn't it in Bristol?
Oh, yes, it is. Actually, yes.
Where they played that football game between Tennessee and Virginia Tech?
That's right. It is. It's a stadium. It's an oval. It's like a mile long, maybe. At Daytona, you have a 2.5 mile tri-oval. You're amazed that I know that. And at
I'm sure we're going to be corrected here shortly.
No, it's a 2.5 mile tri-oval, QB. And at Talladega, it's the same thing. A very fast track. Pocono's fast. And I love fast tracks, but this thing in Bristol would be fun to go to because you're in a stadium. Honest to God, you're in a stadium. There it is. You can put 250,000 people in Daytona for this event. Talladega, you can put up to 175,000, but it's the super speedway in Talladega. I don't know why I brought this up, but at any rate, thank you for the text, and keep them coming here on the Titan MRI text and call line 352-353-7465. We're going to take a quick break, QB, and then get ready for Mr. Chris at 8:30.
Absolutely.
Bottom
We'll
of
be
the
right
hour.
back. You're watching Pot Up with Matthews in the morning. We'll be right back.
Time out! Time out! Hey! Time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, small enough to serve you, large enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Gators Dockside, wings, ribs, seafood, and beer. The best restoration, Masters of Disaster.
Bob in trouble, gets over. Oh, big hit.
Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility.
Our touchdown sponsors are Radware Promotional Materials, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Gator BTW, Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Miapa Latin Cafe, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Okita America Martial Arts and After School, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, The Keys Grill and Piano Bar, UF Mover Guys, Union Home Mortgages, Adams Ribs, Cloud9 Spa, Wrap Spot, Cold Stone Creamery.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the advertise button or call Freddie Wiebe at 352-284-3733.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown.
Welcome back. Pot Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Candy is dandy and flowers are fine, but the best Valentine is a gift card to Cloud9.
Oh.
And for any gift card purchase, $100 or more, you also get a special gift to keep. Stop by 6500 Southwest Archer Road Monday through Saturday to pick up a ready-to-go gift card in any dollar amount or purchase one online at cloud9spa.com. You know, it's
Nice.
we have our contest.
Nice.
Today is Valentine's Day, but the contest kind of goes all the way till Sunday. We'll pick our winner on Monday, JC.
I like it.
And that is for a Cloud9 gift card. Actually, it's for a free massage. So simply go to our website, potupwithshane.com, fill out the contest tab, and let us know why your wife, girlfriend, or partner should win this free massage.
Perfect. I think that's a wonderful.
I wonder
Jeff.
I wonder how many times Taylor has sent in a little.
Lovey-dovey.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess you can do it as many times as you want. He could probably log in with different names.
Yeah.
I bet Taylor's done it several times.
Taylor, you want that massage, don't you? Yeah, he does. Look at him. He sure does. Go ahead. Let's hear from the voice of God here.
I've rented some Russian bots, and I've just been submitting 300 submissions a
Russian
day.
bots.
Yeah, those are
Look
fake
it up.
accounts there.
Okay. Well, we got a text here on the Titan Tomorrow. I told you people would be texting about this. We're idiots when it comes to NASCAR.
Well, we are idiots, but we'll talk about it if you want.
yeah. Well, Daryl corrected us.
Oh, what did he
The
say?
shortest track is in Martinsville.
Oh, Martinsville, Virginia, maybe? Wow. Okay. Well, thanks for that, Daryl. And if you do text us on the Titan MRI text line, give us your name, too, so that we can give you credit for your
Some
genius.
people may want to lay low.
Well, maybe
they can give
so.
us a
Just
fake
give us
name.
an alias name. You can call yourself whoever you want to call yourself.
Also, before we got Chris Harry coming up at 8:30.
Yeah.
We want to talk about today's play of the day.
Oh, boy.
And this is pretty cool. Today's play of the day is brought to you by the best restoration, whether flood, fire, or Mother Nature call, the masters of disaster today. It is the one and only Tiger Woods. Eagles the first hole yesterday, carded an eagle. But what's so great about this
Go ahead.
is the eagle putt was 24 feet.
Patrick Cantley leave it out to the right here earlier. That one's breaking in.
Bam.
It's going to break in.
24
right?
feet, 8 inches.
24 feet, 8 inches.
Who needs birdie? Let's
And that's-
take Eagles, says Tiger Woods.
Kobe Bryant's
be the
numbers with the Lakers.
And, of course, this tournament is in Los Angeles. So
I mean, how about that?
that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. And I you know.
You see Koepka's shoes he was wearing yesterday?
No, what'd it say?
Mamba mentality, purple and gold.
Mentality, yeah. Mamba. That's a snake, I think. Yeah, that was his nickname, the Black Mamba.
Black Mamba.
Yeah, no, we'll. I mean, I love the guy. I really
But
do.
how, I
He's
mean,
my
that is
favorite.
crazy. His first hole of the
24-8,
tournament,
yeah.
which is this is one of the tournaments that all the big boys play in
Oh yeah,
at Riviera.
they love it there.
And he
Let's
eagles
take
it,
Eagles, says
making a
Tiger
putt for
Woods.
24 feet 8 inches. That's pretty cool.
So how are we doing on our? Have you looked at our results after the first round of our golf challenge that you and I have?
I think
every week?
Rory is the
Rory?
he's at 3
I
under.
almost took that guy.
Koepka's at 2 under.
You took him.
Justin Rose, I have. He's at 2 under. Tiger's at 2 under.
Okay.
Oh, you didn't
Tigers.
take him though.
No, I should have. Darn it.
Jason Day, I think I took him. He's at 3 under.
So do I have anybody in the mix? John Rahm.
John,
Rahm.
yeah,
John Rahm's got to be close, right? He's always up there. He loves it out west.
we'll figure this out when we come back on Monday.
Not important. Doesn't matter right now. I'm going to win, but I think it's great though that the Tiger is back. Yeah, the thing you were just the smart enough guy. Was it last year when Tiger won the Masters or the year before? Gosh,
It wasn't me. I took Koepka. I take Koepka in every major.
Was this last year, the Masters last year that
Yeah,
Tiger
he
won?
won.
Yeah, you were smart enough to tell me that Tiger wasn't going to win, and I was smart enough to tell you that he was.
Well, I will tell
when
you that
the
he didn't
tournament
win it.
was going on.
He didn't win it.
Yeah, he did.
Koepka lost it when he hit it in the water on 12.
Well, I mean, that's the amen corner, bro.
I understand
You
that,
gotta
but if he'd
finish.
known where he was, he could have just.
Where am I? I'm going to hit the ball in the water on 12. That is a legendary hole. Jordan Spieth lost the tournament there. Many have. Greg Norman is one who lost a lead there at that quarter. Oh, there's John. John D comes in. Good morning. Good morning to you as well. It's so nice to have sports talk in the morning in the North Central Florida region, but with Pot Up with Matthews in the morning, this can go global. And why wouldn't it go global? I mean, we have listeners in New Jersey, in Colorado, in Alabama, in Michigan, in Nebraska, in Iowa, in Georgia, in West Florida, which is a separate state than the peninsula of Florida, if you ask me. So we have these listeners and viewers, and it's good to have you guys. Thank you so much for chiming in on Facebook Live. You can also catch us on YouTube. I'm going to ask Chris when he gets on the air here in a few minutes about college eligibility and basketball and why it's nothing that college. And I'm going to ask his thoughts on how college can fix the one and done issue, but I don't think there's an answer because to me, this is an NBA issue. The NBA is the league that allows 19-year-old kids to play 1 year in college and then come to the league. Whereas in the NFL and in Major League Baseball, they say no. If you go the college route, you have to play 3.
Well, you can't. There's nobody other than maybe Herschel Walker that could go from high school to the National
Agreed,
Football League.
100% right about that. But
Nobody.
But baseball's different, as we all know. I mean, kids get drafted out of high school, right? But the college eligibility rules in football keep the sport consistent. I think. I mean, we get Trevor Lawrence for a 3rd year. We get Tua for 3 years. We get Travis Etienne for another year. Whereas in basketball, we get Zion for 1. We get Anthony Davis for 1. We get Bradley Beal for 1. And there's no question in my mind that Kentucky would have multiple national championships if John Wall and Anthony Davis had to play 3 years. So, I mean, to me, that is, and you mentioned the other day about Calipari only having 1 championship. That guy would have a lot more if he was in a different sport, basically. If the rules and eligibility rules were different for college basketball. And really, I don't think there's anything college can do about it because the NBA just doesn't care. The only way the one and done issue is solved is if there is a sense of altruism. Word of the day for you. If there's a sense of altruism,
I have to look that one up.
If there's a sense of altruism by the NBA to say, okay, you have to play at least 2 or 3 years in college before we will accept you in our league. But they don't think that. And I think it hurts the branding of the player. It can certainly hurt the branding of the sport to have one and done. And we've looked it up. So now, since I brought up the word of the day, which could be sponsored by somebody, maybe the Gainesville Library would like to sponsor the word of the day. Right? Let's put it up there, Taylor, for all of our listeners and viewers. Just put it up there, altruism, because the QB said he needed to look it up.
Can you use it in a sentence? Spell it and
I
use
just
it in a
did. I just
I
used
know,
it in a
I
sentence.
know,
Put it up there for our viewers there, Taylor. Altruism, if you can squeeze it in there. Can you squeeze it in there? I mean, this is important stuff. We're learning.
I have text messages to
Well,
read.
we'll get to it. Hold on. We've got a half an hour here. Taylor's trying to squeeze it in, but that is the only way college basketball gets the one and done issue solved. You can't squeeze it in.
We can't get that done.
Go ahead with the text.
Well, we have.
I just think it's good to.
We have a
stuff.
text here. This is from Joe Gator. He says, "Any updates on the Charlie Strong joining the staff as an analyst?" I still feel pretty strong that's going to happen, but I have much closer ties to Kerwin Bell, and
he's coming.
He's coming. He also wants to know, is the Orange and Blue game? They set a date for that. I believe it is April the 18th. I could be corrected. We have people that correct us all the time on this show, but I believe it's the 18th. And then on Facebook Live, our good friend John Darr is down in Miami on his yacht. He said he will bring us some Cuban food.
Hey, you can get some really damn good Cuban food at Miapa Latino Cafe. In fact, today, I think I'm going to go there for lunch. I'm going to go to Miapa's Latin Cafe for lunch. If you want to come by and say hi, you can. I'll be there, baby. So, again, the word of the day, altruism, the belief in or practice of disinterested and selfless concern for the well-being of others, QB. Some may choose
altruism.
Some may Hey, but that's the truth, isn't it? It's up to the NBA. It's up to the NBA whether or not college will ever solve this one and done. And I heard 2 guys on Sirius Satellite Radio coming in completely miss it. They said that college can change its eligibility rules to fix the one and done, and that is categorically incorrect because you cannot make a kid go to college. You cannot say, well, you are a freshman on my team. You must be a sophomore and a junior, and you can't go to the NBA. You can't. This is a free country. This is not China, QB. So you can't say to Zion Williamson, well, if you're going to play for me as a freshman, you have to come back as a sophomore, junior. Who says who? No, he wants to go to the NBA. The NBA would have to tell him he can't go and play. And that's what these guys that were on the radio that I was listening to just basically obliterated, because college has no power in telling you what you can or cannot do as an athlete. It's up to you. They can give you a scholarship. John Dar loves him some Miapa. We have Tropical Smoothie Cafe. We love them.
Well, we're going to take our second time out. We're going to come back and we're going to be joined by Chris Harry, FloridaGators.com. You're watching and listening to Matthews in the Morning.
Time out! Time out! Hey! Time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, small enough to serve you, large enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Gators Dockside, wings, ribs, seafood, and beer. The best restoration, Masters of Disaster.
Bob in trouble, gets rid of it. Oh, big hit.
Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility.
Our touchdown sponsors are Radware Promotional Materials, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Gator BTW, Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Miapa Latin Cafe, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Okita America Martial Arts and After School, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, The Keys Grill and Piano Bar, UF Mover Guys, Union Home Mortgages, Adams Ribs, Cloud9 Spa, Wrap Spot, Cold Stone Creamery.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the advertise button or call Freddie Wiebe at 352-284-3733.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown.
Welcome back to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We're going to go straight to the Titan MRI phone line right now. And we're joined by senior writer at FloridaGators.com, Chris Harry. Chris, welcome to the program. You got Shane Matthews and Johnny Cornell.
Hey, Chris.
Hello, SM and JC.
We love having you, man. Happy Friday. Big weekend coming up. Big weekend coming up at the Exact Tech Arena. Let's hear a little bit about that.
Well, as everybody knows, it was announced last fall that this would be the targeted date. It had been in the works, obviously, for a while. They wanted to make sure he'd be there. This will be Billy Donovan court day, or night, rather. Saturday night against Vanderbilt. From henceforth, the court, as of halftime, will be Billy Donovan court. And the former Gator coach will be there. This is all NBA All-Star weekend, so he'll be there. His family will be there. A bunch of his former players, including some NBA players who were bypassing the NBA All-Star weekend. I think guys like Al Horford, Brad Beal, Dorian Finney-Smith, Chris Chiozza. I mean, that's a big weekend to be a part of, and yet they're choosing to be here for this. I think that says everything you need to know about what obviously Billy Donovan meant to them as a coach. But it's going to be an awful emotional thing, but certainly a worthwhile thing. People say it's certainly due. I wouldn't say it's overdue. He's only been gone 5 years, but what a cool 5 years it's been for him in the NBA. He absolutely loves it. His team is winning right now. It's one of the better stories in the NBA right now. The Thunder have the fourth best record in the NBA since Thanksgiving. He's figured out some things with that team that everyone thought was in a rebuild situation after trading Westbrook and Paul George. Yeah. But, man, it's going to be good to see him, and he's going to bring some good mojo into the O-Dome. The place is going to be pretty emotional, I would think.
Chris, I believe you spent like Super Bowl weekend out in OKC with Billy, and I'd like for you to talk. I read your article that you can check out on FloridaGators.com. It's AOK and OKC. It's very well written. How was it spending time with him out in Oklahoma City?
It was fabulous. He was incredibly gracious with his time. But I mean, that anybody who knows him or anybody has who thinks they know him, know him from afar, that shouldn't have been a surprise. What's interesting though, so get this. So I got there. I flew from the Vanderbilt game, which was the first. So I get there Super Bowl Sunday. Had some people over, some of his coaches and what have you. The next day, February the 3rd, they had a practice. So they had 4 days. So that's why he had time for me to be out there. They didn't have any game for 4 days. So on that Monday, they had an hour and 20-minute practice. It was their first practice since December 23rd.
Oh, goodness. That's the life of the NBA, huh?
Yeah, it is.
That's right. That's right. Because it's a game after game after game. And because they're killing each other 82 games, they don't have a whole lot of time they're not out on the floor, going over stuff. They walk through some stuff in hotels. They do their shoot arounds, go about the business. And you as a professional know how it's so much different at the next level. But he absolutely, like I said, loves it, loves coaching these guys, loves coaching against the best players in the world. And I sat down with him for a while, but also got to talk to Mo Cheeks. I got to talk to Chris Paul. I got to talk to Steven Adams and Danilo Gallinari and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And all of them, they really like the bond that this particular team has. You don't think of the NBA as being close-knit or whatever, but he's kept this team together. Everyone thought it was going to be a rebuild situation in OKC, and actually they're like a firmly entrenched, I want to say, in the 6th hole with a chance to climb up a couple more spots if they continue to play well. I think they've won 10 of their last 12, and that's, like I said, 4th best record in the NBA since Thanksgiving. So he's figured some things out up there, and he's really loving life right now.
Chris, in your article, obviously you talked to a bunch of players, but the best part I thought was, and talk a little bit about it, when I guess it was in Billy's first year when he had a out of bounds play and he took out the grease board. Tell that story real quick.
He wants to think that, the way he remembers, he doesn't remember where it was, but Westbrook drove the lane, got fouled. There's a timeout or whatever, or immediate timeout. He's over there drawing a baseline out of bounds play for the guys, and they're kind of looking at each other. They start laughing and Westbrook goes, "Hey, coach, up here we take the ball out on the side," and he thought it was funny too, which says something to his humility, obviously. Then they move on to the next thing. He's standing there. I remember going down. His second game of his NBA career was in Orlando. I went down there, and he and I were standing in the hallway after he did his little pregame media. And this guy, an official, comes up to me and says, "Coach, this is how we do things here. I need your starting lineup." It's about 45 minutes before the game starts. He goes, "I need your starting lineup." And he looks at me, "Okay." He goes, "Let's go Durant. Let's go Westbrook." And he looks at the guy. And he goes, "How am I doing so far?"
Yeah, that's hilarious.
So I mean, it's a different thing up there. And now he's got Chris Paul. He loves the guy, and Chris Paul hadn't been an All-Star. This is his first All-Star selection in 4 years, and I think the coach of the basketball team has something to do for it. It's something to do about it.
That's really cool. So tomorrow night we have this celebration with Billy. But how about the team that's playing? Florida is, in spite of everything, Chris, in spite of all that's been said and everything that's happened, they are 4th in the league at 15-9 on the year.
That's right.
With a win over Texas A&M and the harder part of the schedule after this game about to hit us. What do you think the state of Florida basketball is this season right now at this very moment?
Well, it's funny because the other night, all right, I'll start by saying Texas A&M is not a very good team.
Right.
Okay. They really struggle to score. I do think they're a very, very good defensive team. Now, having said that, Florida's best offensive performance of the year was the other night against that Texas A&M defense. Yeah. They moved the ball. They moved it without dribbling. They were making shots.
That's the key.
Yeah, I mean, of course it's the key. It's like saying if you're in a passing game, the key is completing passes.
Well, so, that's the object,
right? So, but I mean, you do have to get stops too. And granted, getting stops against Texas A&M is not something you're going to start throwing confetti on yourself about. Right. But they needed that win on the road, and people it was just the one that they turned the corner on. I'm not jumping in that circle, okay? So because I've seen the 22-point comeback at Georgia turn into a 17-point loss at Ole Miss. I've seen you're just not ready to take that step until this team is mature enough to show that it's capable of playing like this every night. And you're not going to win every game, obviously, but you can. They got a taste, and they have a reference point now of how to move the basketball. if you can move it like that against Texas A&M, granted they're an aggressive defense, so they overplay, so you're going to have some opportunities there if you're patient and move the ball to get some good shots. And they not only did they get the good shots, and like Shane said, it's key, they made the good shots. 12 3-pointers the other night. Now they got Vanderbilt at home. They got Arkansas at home. Then they go to then they go next week to Kentucky.
Yeah.
So that's when things are going to get a little more heady. They had 2 games against Kentucky. They got a game home against LSU. They go on the road to Tennessee, which they've only won once, I think, in the last 10 or 12 years.
Yeah.
And
then
Georgia,
and go on the road to Georgia.
Road to Georgia, yeah. And so they got so it's there for them. And would they like to be playing better? Of course they would. But they're not out of anything by any stretch of the imagination. Like you said, they're tied for 4th in the SEC.
Yeah,
Chris,
exactly.
Chris, you're around this team daily, and we know how young it is, especially with a lot of freshmen. Do you see these guys, because in high school you don't play that many games?
Right.
Is the travel, the practicing, going to class?
Practices are key. Yeah.
Is it wearing these kids out? I mean,
I don't know,
everybody does it, but I mean, as a freshman, sometimes they talk about rookies in the NFL. After about week 8, they kind of hit a wall. Have you seen that with any of these kids?
You know what? I would say not necessarily, because they're not playing that much different than they were early in the season, right?
Right.
You're waiting for Trey Mann for his breakout point. Maybe you think he has it at Georgia. With those 3 threes he made, all of them were huge. It came at huge time, and then he goes 0 for 6 at Ole Miss. Mm-hmm. So I just think that his, like in his instance, I think it's confidence. I think he has to get a feel of having a couple good games in a row and start and just get a little bit more confident in what he's doing. Scotty Lewis is a confident kid. He's not a great offensive player. He's not a great shooter. He had a good shooting night the other night. I think his shot is getting better. Omar Payne is a guy who had a huge game against Auburn a few weeks ago, and kind of fell back on the way he was defending and rebounding over the course of the next few games, and it's cost him minutes. So maybe there's some of what you're talking about there, but I think this is where toughness shows. Mm-hmm. And if the team, where's the toughness on this team? And if it's there, and there's these guys have that with them, in them somewhere, it needs to start rearing itself a little more consistently right now. And if they're going to get to where they want to be this season.
And I kind of look at it as if that we're going through growing pains right now. I mean, Mike Bray of Notre Dame says sometimes it's hard to get old, and sometimes you have to suffer when you're young. Meaning,
excellent point.
Yeah, and so I think that this team, the better days are obviously ahead for this team, and growing pains happen when you're young. So I like the way that they bounced back against A&M after that bad day in Oxford. And look, Mississippi State had a bad day at Oxford, okay? So I think it could happen any day or night, and I certainly think Florida has some growing pains to go through. Having said that, they can get a couple wins on this stretch. That will certainly solidify their opportunity, I think, in the postseason, Chris. But what I was going to ask you about, and maybe you could shed some light on this, kind of getting off subject on Florida for a minute, but staying with college basketball. I was listening to 2 guys on satellite radio coming in talking about how college eligibility rules must change in order to get the one-and-done issue solved. And I think that's categorically incorrect, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. But to me, it's an NBA issue, meaning that if the NBA were to tell college kids that you must stay 2 or 3 years before you can enter our draft, the problem would be solved. College is powerless against this.
Well, that's why
that's it.
You got guys, you have like guys like now who are going to Australia or playing somewhere overseas, or Kenyon Martin's son who signed with Vanderbilt. He's just playing at just training now, some boutique kind of thing, and I think it's all going to shake out, whether it's with the G League. I think the collective bargaining agreement, I think, is 2022. So whatever the decision is going to be on the one and dones is going to shake out, like I said, over the next 2 years. I saw some column in the Washington Post yesterday talking about how this is the way college basketball will be once there's no one and dones. There won't be any great teams or great players. I don't buy that for a second. If they take the 30 best players out of say the first round draft, take 30 players out. You're still going to have competitive games. You're still going to have stars. You're still going to have buzzer beaters, and you're still going to have a great March tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So, just the better players are going to be playing in a minor league, or some of them. It's funny. You go to 2012, 2010, and look at who the lottery picks were. You don't recognize some of the names. They're gone. It's amazing.
Well, I've said, Chris, that this is an NBA. I mean, they're the ones setting the rules. The NCAA is powerless in making kids play for 3 years in college. They can't do that. So obviously, if a kid wants to leave college and go pro, it's up to the league to whether or not to allow that to happen. Correct?
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I think, and there has to be. I think there should be a partnership where they have some dialogue. And I think that's one of the things that the Condoleezza Rice Commission that Jeremy Foley was trying to have with the NCAA. I don't see a whole lot of acting on it right now, but like I said, once I saw one of the things they're talking about maybe having a third round of the draft actually, and I think that would bring another a wave of players, maybe high school players that get lost in the shuffle and end up playing in Hungary or somewhere like that. So I don't know. It is an NBA issue, but I think it'd be better if they did it in a partnership.
Well,
we had some discussion with some people in the college basketball.
Well, our word of the day is altruism. And to me, Chris, the NBA must show some form of altruism to college to get this problem solved. I mean, I am convinced that Kentucky, if John Wall and Anthony Davis had stayed for 2 or 3 years, would have multiple championships. That's just the way I feel about it.
That's probably right.
Yeah. I mean, who's going to beat them, right?
Chris, we got a text here before we let you go. It comes from Todd from Vero Beach. He says, Chris, on February 14th, how many teams from the SEC make the tournament?
Good.
Many teams from the SEC make the tournament. I'm just going to say, and this isn't like the last few years where I think there was 7 last year, 8 the year before, which was a league record. I think the league it's not going to be there. I'm going to go with 5.
5. That's more than the ACC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the ACC who they got in the ACC?
Well,
now?
I think
Duke?
Right now it's Duke, Louisville,
FSU.
and FSU, and I think Virginia's kind of on.
I think
the bubble.
Virginia will get in. Yeah. I think Virginia will get in though because of their schedule and some of their wins. But
who are those 5 SEC teams?
What's the teams that are above Florida right now? And it's between Florida and South Carolina. And Florida right now, if you still crunch all, and again they got to do their part and win some games. If it ended right now, if like this gentleman Todd in Melbourne said, February 14th. Florida's schedule right now, they crunch the numbers. It's the second hardest schedule in the Southeastern Conference, both non-conference and conference combined.
Is Arkansas ahead of us right now in the standings?
No.
Yeah, because I don't think Arkansas is going to make it with Isaiah Joe out.
What about Mississippi State? Are they out?
Right now, yes.
I mean, what are they 5 and 6 in the league now, right?
So they would be under. Yeah. So I you're looking at Kentucky, you're looking at LSU, you're looking at Florida, Auburn, and then that 5th team you said was who?
It would
15,
be us.
It would be Florida.
I thought I said Florida. Okay. Well, but you're
right.
But
what I'm saying, but we can sit here and play this game. But I mean, here comes Vanderbilt's coming in tomorrow,
right?
And lost in the whole Billy Donovan shuffle. Is Vanderbilt.
Yeah. No,
Vanderbilt, after Florida beat them by 6 a couple weeks ago, the very next game, they put 99 on LSU, which had not lost an SEC game. Yeah. So for all the hoopla and stuff about this weekend, there's make no assumptions about what's going to happen in the Southeastern Conference the rest of the season. Just like Breon Tyree hanging 40 on Mississippi State the other night.
Yeah.
Anybody can beat anybody.
That's right.
Hey, before we let you go, we got one text that just came in from John.
Yes.
He says, ask Chris, any of our freshmen, are they one-and-doners? And do we have any Gators that could be drafted in the NBA draft?
Okay, well, I Scotty Lewis may be a one-and-doner as by definition because he may go. In terms of is he going to get drafted in a first round, in the second round? I don't know about that right now.
I don't either.
I mean, it only takes one. You go to your combine, you find out. Andrew Nembhard did it last year. I think he'll probably do it again. Are any of them right now NBA players? I think the 2 best players with the NBA potential right now are Omar Payne down the line. Mm-hmm. I think he's a developmental guy headed that way, and I think Keontae Johnson could eventually get there.
All right. Well, Chris, we
Awesome
appreciate
stuff.
your time. I know you got a busy weekend
Great.
ahead. Enjoy spending your time with Billy D, and we'll talk to you soon, my man.
Yes, sir.
All right, Shane. See you, John. Take
All
care.
All
right.
right, that's
Thanks.
Chris Harry from
Love it.
FloridaGators.com. You can follow him at GatorsChris on Twitter. Seriously, though, go check his article out. His piece that he wrote on Billy Donovan is outstanding.
And you know, it is outstanding, and he's really been really good. Keeping up with Billy, and a lot of folks here obviously love Billy for what he did with the community too. I mean, the church, the St. Francis, a lot of stuff happening. You know, and back in the day, QB, you know, it was fun to watch Georgetown with Patrick Ewing and David Wingate, and these guys played for. Patrick Ewing was a 4-year player. Guys like Bobby Hurley had Grant Hill with him. Year after year after year. So that's where I wish basketball would get back to. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. I thought Chris offered some fantastic insight on what's coming up in the next NBA collective bargaining agreement in 2022, which is only 2 seasons away. So it's not far, and maybe we'll get some progress on this devastating one-and-done issue that I think really hurts the sport and the brand of the player in many cases. Not for all, but for some, and probably for most. So big game. Vanderbilt, 8 o'clock. Can't wait for that. We've got the golf at Riviera. Then they come to Florida for 5 weeks, I believe it is. You've got Doral, you've got the Honda, you've got the Valspar, you've got the Bay Hill, you've got the TPC, all coming up in March. A huge month for golf. We'll be all over that. Softball has just gotten started. Baseball's about to get started. We've got the spring football practice coming soon. Orange and blue game in April. I mean, we've got a full schedule here, QB.
Yes, we do. There's no question about it. It's a fun time of the year. My favorite time of the year is when you start the conference tournaments, and then it rolls into March Madness, and you got the Masters coming up. That's my favorite.
We got to go, QB. One of these days, we've got to go to Vegas for the March Madness. We just have to. I mean, to watch basketball for 12 straight hours, and to have it really matter, meaning really matter. Right? So, I don't know. I think that's something like going to the Masters. You got to do it once, right?
Yeah, you're probably right.
And if you can't make it to Vegas, they do this in Biloxi, Mississippi, which is a beautiful
The
place.
SIP, baby. Go to the SIP.
Yeah, that's a lot
Celebration
closer.
Point is where the Gators come to celebrate with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Nike, Palmetto Moon, Regal Cinemas, and coming soon, the head ball coach's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We will see you at Celebration Point where the Gators come to celebrate.
Well, that's
You want to
true.
go back to Mississippi, don't you?
Well,
you love
I
Mississippi.
do love Mississippi. I never thought I would until I met guys like you and Kyle and Revel and Brian and John and all of the friends I've made in Mississippi. And then, of course, what happens? Both of our children, our oldest children, end up graduating from that state institution in Starkville.
Stark Vegas.
So it's a cool place, but look, we're Florida now. It's all about the Gators. I've got another one going to UF. You've got one. We've got. It's really amazing, folks. This guy and me have 2 children. They are literally the same days and years apart in age. He's got a girl, a daughter. I have 2 sons, but they both ended up going to the same schools. His daughter went to Mississippi State. My son went to State, and we have 2 younger sons that are at the University of Florida. And it's really cool. And so we have a lot of stories to share. We won't do them today because we're almost out of time.
Story time with JC.
Well, people like stories. When Big Red was on here the other day, he told some great stories, although I was shocked. He did not talk about his one-hitter against the Baylor Bears in the
That's my fault for probably not bringing it up.
How can you not bring that up? It's the biggest moment of his life or career.
Well, I'm going to apologize on air across the world here to Cardozo that I didn't ask him about his one hitter against the Baylor Bears. We will do that next time.
In the baseball postseason.
Yes.
I mean, I tried.
That was in,
I
was it in
texted
Waco?
I put it on the thing.
That was in Waco, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a tough place to win. I've been there. It's tough. Sick 'em. Baylor's, they're tough. Jeff just mowed him down, and then his arm blew up. Poor guy. I mean, who knows? But we're all better off for it because he runs Ironwood. He's the baseball voice that we love. And so,
And he
good
does
to have
all
Big
the
Red
Gator
around.
pregame radio network. He does.
He hired
all
my
kinds of stuff.
daughter at Ironwood. My wife's daughter. He hired her, let her work at Ironwood. I mean, it's a wonderful situation.
Well, that's going to be a wrap on today's show. We appreciate Chris Harry for joining the program.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
It's brought to you by Wrap Spot, a
Big
vehicle
weekend.
wrap from RapSpot will give your business years of brand recognition and increased sales. Call RapSpot today. Enjoy your Valentine's Day night, and we'll see you on Monday.